Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, May 19th, 2013. I just want to start out by saying thank you so much to everyone for all of the condolences and well wishes. I had a death in the family this past week, and I had a little mini breakdown during my Y&R chat last week, and I felt really bad that I wasn't able to do a full Y&R chat because I want to talk about the show, but I was so exhausted, and in truth, I'm still feeling so exhausted. It's been a really rough week, and hence the audio-only version of our Y&R chat for this week. I'm just surprised at how much it's drained out of me, and right now I'm just sitting in bed with an Afghan and my microphone, and I didn't even get to start watching Y&R until last night. I watched all but the last two episodes, just finished the last two episodes. I snuggled up and had a rapid fire Y&R marathon, and I just wanted to talk about the show, but just didn't quite have the energy to put into a video today. It has been so weird that things happen in waves. Gene Cooper died, and then I had a death in the family, and I know it's weird, but it just was like a 1-2 punch to the gut of sadness. And I will say I was very pleased to see the in memory of Gene Cooper title card at the beginning of Monday's show. It was her old sketch, like when Y&R used to do seemed like pencil sketches of the characters right up at the front of the show as the titles, and it was one of her old ones, and just wonderful. They also, I believe, showed a couple of more recent photos. I miss that woman. I really do, and it's going to be really sad. The latest update that I read is that Y&R is not planning to recast the role. They are planning to write Catherine's death into the storyline, and I appreciated that it seems the writers had respect for the fans as well, and just wanting to retire the character and give her a fitting farewell. They are also doing the memorial episode that's supposed to air toward the end of May. I want to say the 28th or the 29th. That's going to be a collection of cast interviews talking about Jean, but then I imagine it's going to be within the next 2 months, I would say, that we'll see Catherine's death written into the show. So we'll be reliving the sadness all over again. I don't know if I can take it, but at least I'll have a break before we have to go back to it. But it will be sad, but it's certainly something that needs to happen. Now, the show has been very, very good this week. I sense that we are on the verge of a lot of shakeups. I think it is, maybe it's because of May sweeps or something, but they are picking up the board, the chessboard, and just like throwing all the pieces everywhere. Relationships are getting mixed up. Paternity is getting revealed. Nick is at the center of a whole whirlwind of information right now. He's got a lot going on in his life. He is trying to get back together with Avery. They broke up, and then last week they sort of decided to take it back to the beginning and start doing first dates again and try to take it slow. Well, it didn't take very long before they were back in bed together. You can't pretend that you just met someone when you've now at this point been engaged to them and had your own history with them. But they tried to get back together and have some little fun dates, but it really didn't even last long before Nick was not only in bed with her, but pulling out the engagement ring, taking a look at it, and thinking about how I imagine he'd like to put the ring back on her finger. Didn't we all agree that rushing the relationship was the whole problem in the first place, and now you're 2 dates into your restart and you're already pulling out the engagement ring? I think Nick is someone who just wants love, and he rushes in head first to it, and that's maybe one of his, I think Sharon called it his fatal flaw, and that may very well be true. Well, Avery and Nick are lying in bed together, and there's a frantic knock at the door. And Summer comes in, and she tells Avery she's got to talk to her. She's feeling low, she's feeling blue, and she needs a female to talk to, and starts telling Avery all about Kyle and her feelings for him, and how she is a virgin. I believe she said that, but that she wants to have sex with Kyle. And Nick overhears the whole thing. His ears were perked up about her revealing that she actually does have feelings for Kyle when Summer has done nothing but deny that for weeks. And the second Summer mentioned that she wanted to potentially have sex with Kyle, Nick shoots up out of bed, puts on a friendly face, and goes out and talks to Avery and Summer and just pretends like everything's cool, but walks out the door, heads straight over to Jack's house, practically leaps onto Kyle. You could tell he wanted to. I really thought Nick was going to punch Kyle in the face. I think that if Jack and Phyllis hadn't been there, Nick would have been way more aggressive with Kyle. He wants Kyle to stay away from his daughter. And the scene ended with Nick backing down and saying, you know what, you're right. Kyle hasn't done anything to lead Summer on. He certainly hasn't done very much to be firm with her and say, I'm not interested. But he really has not led her on. And so Nick backed off a little bit, but then, oh Lord, he goes back to his house. Totally blows off Avery and their date, by the way. Goes back to his house, gets into a cabinet, pulls out a locked case, looks inside, grabs an envelope that is addressed to him, and the whole question of Summer's paternity begins to unravel. I am almost shocked that they are bringing it back up. We've always speculated about Summer's paternity, and just for anyone who is a newer viewer of the show, or just if you need a refresher, and this is only me going from memory, but it was whenever Summer was born, I think it had to have been about the mid 2000s. Nick and Sharon had just lost Cassie, and they were both distraught. Nick began his affair with Phyllis. Phyllis was with Jack at the time, but it was really an affair for both of them. Nick was cheating on Sharon, Phyllis was cheating on Jack. They got together, Phyllis got pregnant. There was a question of who was the father of Summer. And I think Jack really, really wanted it to be his child. But on some level, I think Nick really, really wanted it to be his child, too. YNR showed a flashback of that, of a scene where Nick is telling Phyllis, well, maybe it's better for you if Jack is the father of the baby. But deep down, I think he wanted to be a father again. This is a man who lost a daughter. And so they had done a paternity test. I believe Nick had hired an independent agency or something to do it. So he was the one that got the paternity results. And he, at the time, mid-2000s, I mean, this is almost 10 years ago, he gets the results, he looks at them, and Nick we're never shown. As the viewer, we are never shown what the results were. It just was Nick looking at them, and then Nick revealing that he was the father. So there's always been a speculation. That is a little Easter egg that YNR planted nearly 10 years ago, it's never really been touched on. We proceeded through the next nearly a decade, assuming that Summer was Nick's child, and now we're finally coming back to it. Are you guys shocked about that? I can't believe they're pulling it out now. I almost wish we had a little bit more time. I don't know. I almost wish it wasn't happening now, but it is certainly happening now. If Summer is Jack's child, it makes complete sense about why Nick is so adamant that Kyle and Summer not hook up. It goes beyond just normal overprotective father. It's a big, big freaking deal. So, also, by the way, what is Phyllis going to think about this? Is she going to ultimately find out? I wonder if this is going to end up unraveling in a way that sort of Y&R did with Billy and Mac. Do you remember Billy and Mac were getting together, and they at the same time, parallel, there was Jill and Catherine finding out that they were mother and daughter, and Billy and Mac got closer and closer and closer until, was it Billy and Mac? Yeah, right? Yeah. So got closer and closer and closer until they were almost ready to become in a relationship when it was revealed that Catherine and Jill were mother and daughter. And I just wonder if we're going to see Kyle and Summer getting closer and closer and closer, and until the moment Nick can no longer keep it in and he has to reveal it all. I don't know what Phyllis is going to think, because Nick lied here. Nick decided that he wanted the results to be a certain way, and he made it so. Secretly, I think at the time, Phyllis knew that it would be easier if Summer was Jack's child, because there wouldn't have to be that. I mean, the remnants of their affair wouldn't have to be everywhere. But I think secretly they kind of both wanted to have the child together. I think they wanted a reason to be together, and they both got it. So I don't know if Phyllis, I can't imagine what her reaction is going to be. You would think that a mother would know. But, or have gotten a test of her own, or questioned it, or I don't know. I wonder if it's been in the back of Phyllis's mind this entire time. Maybe she kind of knew, but she was comfortable with the lie. I don't know. I don't blame Nick entirely. I only because I understand that he had lost a daughter, and that he had this desire to have another. I sort of understand where Nick's head was at the time, but then he also, after this whole fight with Kyle and everything, he goes back home and he opens up the lockbox again and goes back to the letter, pulls it out, and actually looks at the letter, and it didn't say Nick's not the father of the baby Jack Abbott is. It said that the results were not conclusive. So mostly what Nick knew was that he probably wasn't the father. And so now I think we're going to be headed toward finding out who is Nick. He was gazing into a hairbrush with Summer's hair in it. I think Nick's going to go ahead and try to procure another paternity test. I just don't know if he or anybody else is going to be happy with the results. Well, except Jack. I'm sure Jack will be ecstatic. Poor Finn with his bad haircut. I hate that Justin Bieber. My hair is pasted down over my forehead. No volume look. The poor kid asks Summer to prom, and she rejects him, and he is despondent. It's really all getting set up. Fenn is going to do something, or he's going to have something blamed on him. Fenn is the ticking time bomb on the show right now, but she totally rejects him for prom. But Summer has this friend who keeps pushing her in the wrong direction. This friend is not helpful. She's giving her all the wrong advice. The friend reminds me of gosh, do you guys remember back in the Glow by Jabot era, there was a girl who was a friend, I think, to Lily and maybe Mac. She was sort of a sideline character. Gosh, I wish I could remember her name, but it kind of looks like this friend of Summer's. Does that ring a bell for anybody? Dang, I wish I could remember that name. I gotta look that up. But the friend is trying to get Summer to hook up with Kyle, and she's got all these harebrained ideas to make it happen. And she ends up pushing Summer to accept Fenn's invitation to the prom. And it's all a ruse. It's all part of a larger plan to get Summer and Fenn together. I don't know why this friend cares so much. She's such a little troublemaker, I tell ya. So Fenn has his heart broken by Summer, and then it's renewed. He thinks he's gonna now go to prom with her, and this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship, and it's not going to happen at all because Summer is using him. She knows that Fenn is volatile, and she still goes along with this plan of her friends. Summer is the meanest girl ever. Fenn shows up in his little tuxedo, and she's got her little prom dress on, and Phyllis and Nick take pictures of them together, and she's leading him on. The second they leave the house, she tells him, oh yeah, we're not really going to prom. We got something else is going on. I thought she was just going to ditch him, and she might as well have. She lures him to this party at Phyllis's condo that's happening. So Summer has lied to her parents saying that she's going to prom, and instead she's throwing a party in Phyllis's condo. Yeah, that's a great idea. How could this go wrong? How could anyone find out about this? And if Summer could have ditched Fenn, she would have. She would have not brought him to the party. But instead, He tags along behind her to this party that Phyllis doesn't know about. They're drinking. They're making some kind of, easy going down drink. And Fenn, there was a moment where the drink hit Fenn's lips, and you could see in his face that he just went, this is pretty tasty. I have a bad feeling Fenn might start drinking or something, because you just saw that moment of, liquor this tastes good, and maybe it makes me feel a little more comfortable in a social situation. And their kids are at the party, and they're not really sure what to do, and Summer's friend has the idea that she's going to she wants Summer to text Kyle and say that Summer's drunk and come get her. So that's how they're going to get Kyle to come to this high school party, and Kyle's going to ride in and rescue Summer, and it's going to be a love connection. There's going to be hearts and flowers in the air. Well, Kyle is with Abby and Sex Fox Alex. Is that bad that I remember him as Sex Fox before I can remember his name? Gosh, it's like I don't talk about Y&R fully for 1 week, and all of a sudden everything starts slipping out of my mind. So Kyle's at this spring fair or something in Genoa City and they're just in this gypsy fortune teller tent, which was the lamest, cheapest set ever. The whole thing was hokey. The fortune teller comes out, and she's reading Abby's love line, reading her palm, reading Alex's palm, and then she sees Kyle sitting over in the corner, and she's like, I get a very very strong feeling from you, Mr. Chin. She said something about his chin, like, hey, Mr. Strong Chin. That guy does have a strong chin. He certainly does give a Frankenstein vibe. But she sees him over in the corner and says, you love is where you'll find it. I don't know. She gives him some kind of crappy fortune teller advice. I can't even, the whole time I'm watching that scene, all I could think was, I can't believe Y&R is stooping to this. This is stupid. It serves no... Could there not have been some other catalyst? Because the whole point of it was that the fortune teller tried to tell Kyle that love was out there for him, and at that very moment was when he received the text from Summer saying, I'm drunk, come get me. And so I think we're supposed to be moving toward Kyle's discovery that he actually does have feelings for Summer, which I don't pick up from the actor at all. I don't pick up anything from the actor, to be entirely honest with you. He just is he's got a blank face. He just stands there blankly. I mean, his voice is so deep and he delivers the lines and everything, but I don't feel any sort of emotion from him. I don't even sense that I only know that he must be starting to think he has some feelings for Summer just because of, like, the way the lines are going. I feel no, like, emotion from this guy whatsoever. But the fortune teller thing was hokey, and it prompted him to run to the condo to rescue Summer, and just before he gets there, the kids decide to play a game of truth or dare. Does anybody do that anymore? Truth or dare, that's an old school game. Are kids still really playing that? I don't know. But the troublemaker friend decides to start this game, and somebody else manages to dare Fen to kiss Summer, and she doesn't want it, but Fen gets challenged by one of the other guys or girls in the room saying, like, what, are you afraid? And Fen's got a little bit of alcohol in him, so he he has to prove that he is a big man. So instead of just sitting down and kissing her, he pretty much climbs on top of her and starts kissing her. And Summer doesn't want this. She had nothing to do with this, wasn't expecting it. And it's when Fen is on top of her that Kyle walks in, and all he sees is Fen on top of her and Summer saying, no, and pushing him away. No context whatsoever, as if Fen was gonna rape Summer there in the middle of the room in front of 20 other kids, but he just comes in and pulls Fen off of Summer. And they did this close-up of Fen's face, too, where he was given pure emo kid look. I mean, the actor is giving, he's giving realness here. I mean, it's very emo boy. He just had this dark look as he's staring at Kyle like, how dare you? This is my moment. The kid, how can Lauren and Michael's kid be so emotionally unintelligent? You can't tell a girl is pushing you away. She's pushing you away. That's the point where you stop. But he doesn't get that at all. Summer is getting exactly pretty much what she wants. Kyle comes in and rescues her. But the side effect is that Fen is used. He feels used. He is used. He's going to be really ticked off. And I don't know what he's going to do with all of this extra anger, but it's not going to be good. Tracy is back in town, and you know I love Tracy. I really do. I think she is such a sweetheart. She's so wise, and she does such a good job of keeping Jack in check. She doesn't let him get away with anything, and she just has a real just a wisdom about her, just an intelligence. And she shows up, and she realizes that Phyllis has moved in with Jack. She had no clue about this. She knew that they were dating. Probably, I believe, Ashley told Tracy that Jack and Phyllis were dating, and Tracy decided to get up in there. Like, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going home. And so Tracy confronts Jack. She's about his relationship with Phyllis. Essentially, she comes to the house to run interference in between them. She doesn't want them together. She doesn't believe that Phyllis is good for Jack. She thinks that Phyllis is going to end up hurting him, and she's probably right. And it just, unfortunately, caused a lot of uncomfortable feelings between Jack and his sister. Jack got super defensive right off the bat. Phyllis is part of who I am. She's the only one who was there for me when I was trying to get off the pills. She is my family. And Tracy knows that Jack has a blind spot for Phyllis. So she decides to stay indefinitely. I'm going to stay here until, I don't know, either me or Phyllis leaves. It kind of felt like a throwdown. And I will give it to Phyllis. She did try. Phyllis knows Tracy doesn't like her. And she did try to kind of reach out to Tracy here and there. And Tracy was just not having it. I think that I appreciate Tracy's concern for her brother, but I also think he is a big boy, and if he wants to get with Phyllis, that's his prerogative. I don't think it was right of her necessarily to try to do what she could to deter him from it, or to really butt up in there, and that's exactly what she was doing. And she succeeded in making Phyllis feel paranoid about her own intentions. Tracy had conversations with both Jack and Phyllis, and she told Phyllis, I don't trust you, and I don't think that you're right for my brother, and I think that at the end of the day, you're going to end up hurting him. And it just created this really, sadness, because Jack keeps having these interactions with John's ghost. This has been an ongoing thing since John died. And in reality, what John represents is Jack's conscience. John's ghost is that side of Jack's conscience. And John's ghost is all about family and keeping the Abbotts in the household and keeping the house filled with love. And I think that's awesome. But it created this weirdness, like Jack needed to choose between family and Phyllis, and I do think that's a shame. I mean, I agree that Phyllis is gonna probably hurt Jack one way or the other, but at the same time, I don't see why he should have to choose. He has bad taste in women, to be honest. I mean, as much as I do like Phyllis, I wouldn't want her dating my brother either. But I mean, I think Phyllis even realizes that she is toxic, and she ultimately decides that she's going to move out of the house. She comes back to Jack after all this has gone down, and she says, I'm sorry, I think I need to go. The relationship is not over. It's just that I feel I need to move out and give us a little bit of space. I don't want us to rush it, And she's going back to the condo where Summer's having this party, by the way. So she's going to move back to the condo, and the whole thing is now making Jack look horrible. Jack defended Phyllis to Tracy. He went on and on and on about how she's changed, she's new Phyllis, and now she's left him again. And Tracy was exactly right. I hate to admit it, but what I think here is that we're going to find out that Summer is Jack's child, and that is going to push Jack and Phyllis together. I think that they're going to bond over the fact that they actually do have a child together, that they've had the child together that they really kind of always wanted. Jack and Phyllis tried very hard to have a child back in the day, and that's kind of where their relationship started going downhill. So the fact that this is something they actually can share, I think will bond them together and ultimately bring them back together soon. Now that Michael knows not only that Lauren had an affair, but who she had the affair with, he wants to know all of the dirty details, and he confronts her and he says, tell me, I want to know what happened. Did you sleep with him once? Did you sleep with him many times? Did you sleep with him here in our bed? He's grilling her, and she owes him answers. I mean, once the floodgate has been opened with the truth, you need to just let it all out, Lauren. But she doesn't really want to talk about it. She just wants him to forget it and move on. In fact, she even said, look, I made a mistake, okay? Michael was like, a mistake is something that happens once. You did this repeatedly. It was an affair. And it's so painful for him. He is not going to be able to forget it at all. He is having flashes, imagining all of the times that Carmine has touched her. Carmine knows what you look like when you wake up in the morning. He knows what you look like when you're intimate. This is such a violation of the trust and the foundation of their marriage that she knows he may very well never forgive her, but she is trying to blow Carmine off. She, in fact, runs into him at the coffee house where Michael is also, and she tells him she doesn't want to be with him. And Michael actually overheard her telling Carmine she wants to be with her husband now and always. It's not you and me anymore. I am always going to want my marriage. And Michael overheard that, and I think that made a difference to him. But then, oh boy, excellent scene. Carmine turns around and has a confrontation with Michael, and Carmine starts mouthing off, saying something like, why does she have to explain herself to you? Why can't you just accept her and for who she is? You didn't want her. You threw her away and like she was nothing, and I'm the one that picked her up. Well, Michael, he busted out a vicious chokehold on Carmine out of nowhere like a ninja. He just reached out and grabbed his throat. It was incredible. Carmine was like choking and Michael's like pushing him backward. Michael could have just snapped his throat right then and there, and I would have been so happy. But Kevin broke it up. But you know what it is it's establishing violence. Because I still really firmly believe that we are headed toward a who killed Carmine storyline. It just makes sense to me. I think so many people are going to have a motive to do it. I don't think we're there quite yet, but Michael wants to work things out with Lauren, but I don't know that he's going to be able to. I think the first step is being honest with one another, and that's a really positive thing. But now he can't stop thinking about her and Carmine together. Now, every time he kisses his wife, he imagines Carmine kissing her. And I think that that's ultimately what's going to drive Michael insane. I think it's ultimately going to drive Michael back to the dark side, back where he was many years ago. And Carmine is not helping because he is very confrontational. Can you even believe this? Ben goes, well, actually, Michael and Lauren are inside their apartment having a conversation, and Carmine shows up, and he's outside of their door. Like, he wants to get up in their relationship. Now that Michael knows who he is, there's no more sneaking around. Carmine's just going to do whatever he wants to do. And Carmine's standing outside the door when Fen shows up and asks, oh, hey, what are you doing here, Carmine? And Carmine plays it off and says, oh, was here looking for you, wanted to give you some more advice because I'm your best buddy now. And Fen just has nobody to talk to. I think he's a little bit flattered that someone is taking an interest in him, someone will listen to his problems and give him advice. And so Fen invites him into the house, and Carmine says, all right. I mean, what? Fen was going to walk in the door on his parents having an argument with Carmine right behind him and be like, oh, hey, it's my buddy Carmine. Carmine was going to just walk up in there. What kind of crazy person is he? That is sadistic. There is an element to Carmine that is very sadistic. Ugh. And if it weren't for the fact that Fen overheard Michael and Lauren having an argument, I think he would have got right up in there. I mean, Carmine is very freaking aggressive. Later, he goes to the coffee house and he texts Lauren from Fen's phone and gets her to come to the coffee house to see him. Like, it is wrong. And him even having any contact with Fen is like the worst possible influence that Fen could have right now. Carmine gives Fen advice about the whole thing that went on with Summer, like Summer rejecting him for the prom. And Carmine's advice was literally, well, the more she says no, the more she means yes. What kind of rapey mentality is that? There's going to be so many people that are good. As soon as Fen finds out that Carmine was not his friend, but he's the one that broke up his parents' marriage, he is going to be furious. Lauren's already furious and telling him, what are you, stalking me? Stay away from me. I'm not interested in you. Michael has already shown a pattern of violence. I still contend someone is going to murder him in cold blood, and he's going to deserve it. Kevin Fisher makes me want to be sick. He has turned out to be so gross. I mean, he came onto the show as a gross character, but he was able to make us love him. But he's sunk so much lower, I think. I can't even stand to look at him anymore. They have ruined his character for me. I don't know what they're going to do to get him back on my good side, but he's become someone who gets off on doing naughty things, on breaking the law. What kind of sick, twisted people are the Baldwins? Michael and Kevin and Ben, they like something about the Baldwin men. They have some sick and twisted mentality. He goes off and he robs a bunch of houses, and then he comes back to Chloe and he acts like he lies, and he acts like he got some kind of windfall. He had a surplus of coffee beans and now he's got some extra money because he knows she doesn't approve of him doing this. So he does it anyway, and he takes her out to dinner and they're having expensive champagne and lobster, and Chloe's like, I don't know what you did to get this money, but I'm going to find out what it was. I'm not interested in champagne and lobster. I'm not interested in the thrill. Yeah, okay, maybe we had a little bit of a thrill when we took the stuff from Mrs. Chancellor, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I just want to pay my bills and be with my daughter and live my life, and you are being a creep. She runs out on him, goes to the coffee house, and is determined to find out what he's hiding, where he's getting this money. Well, she goes, finds a lockbox, and finds the key, opens it up, and there's a bunch of jewels in there that Kevin has stolen. And right at the moment that she pulls out the jewels, Sex Fox walks in the door, Alex, Mr. Detective Sex Fox, excuse me. And he walks in the door, he sees her standing there with stolen jewels, and he arrests her. I'm sure. The best part about it was that I'm sure that she enjoyed the handcuffs. I love Chloe and Alex. It just works so much. That was the only thing sexy about it, because Chloe was so enraged. I mean, she knows that her husband is the one that took the jewels, and she has faith that at least he's going to help get her out of this, and that's not what happened. Kevin let Chloe take the rap for the whole thing. Let her spend a night in jail. Oh, Chloe, the pampered little princess, spending a night in jail. Oh, I thought she is going to eat him alive. As soon as she gets out of jail, she is going to just bite him. She's going to take a big old bite out of him and have him for breakfast, because he's standing there with this hangdog look on his face like, I know I should confess, but then he has a flashback of, all of the times that he spent in the closet with terrible Tom, and then the time he spent in jail where he freaked out. I mean, he's had a bad experience, but why would you continue to do things that would put you in a situation where you might go to jail if going to jail is your biggest fear? I mean, does not the fear outweigh whatever hard-on you're getting from these acts of crimes? I mean, I don't understand his mentality. It was perfectly and completely selfish. As soon as she got out, she was so mad. I don't think I've ever seen Chloe that mad. I mean, she was yelling at him. She pushed him a little bit, and I don't blame her one bit. He felt like dog dirt, and that's exactly what he looked like to me. Finally, good thing his brother is a lawyer, by the way. Finally, he decided to turn himself in. Yeah, too little too late, Kevin, thanks. And he turns himself into the police, and Michael was able to wave his wand, and because he's a lawyer and he knows Chris, was able to get Kevin off on a work release, but the damage is done. Maybe Kevin was able to get off for the crime. I think he's actually going to be doing some work for the police department at Alex's request. I don't know. He's doing something at with their systems. That's how he's going to repay his debt to society. But I don't know how the hell he's going to repay the debt to his wife. Adam has the bright idea that he wants to make Newman Enterprises a family business again. He wants to get together the money to buy Newman Enterprises back from the stockholders. And I have to admit, I think that's an excellent idea. I liked it better before Newman went public. Like, dealing with the board is an extra hassle for everything. Storyline wise, it's too much to keep track of. So I'm completely fine. I hope that they are able to pull this off, but it's going to take a lot of money. And between, Adam proposes this to Victor. Victor loves the idea, of course, but between them, they don't exactly have the money to make it happen. So they want to try to bring in the other kids. Now, Victoria wasn't buying right off the bat. She says, what am I going to get out of it? Basically, you want $500 million that I got out of the settlement. You want me to give it back to you so you can buy Newman Enterprises back. What do I get out of it? So, you know what? Even if she did decide to do it, Nick wasn't going to do it. Nick doesn't want to have anything to do with Newman Enterprises. He's perfectly happy to do his own thing. And just because Victor has found a newfound trust in Adam doesn't mean everyone else has to too. So Victoria decides that she wants to try to counteract this. She's going to try to pool the children's money together to get controlling interest and kick Adam out of the company. So she goes to Nick and Abby. Neither of them really want to have anything to do with it. Like, Nick is the only one that seems to have the right perspective on what's going on. He realizes from all of his years of dealing with his father that Victor is just using the company as a loyalty test. That's what he does. And Abby is too involved in her own life. She says, I'm not interested in it. And in fact, not only that, she turns Victoria down, saying she just doesn't want to be a part of it. But then she goes to Victor and tells him the whole thing about what Victoria was trying to pull off. That basically, Victoria was trying to counteract them. She was going behind Victor's back, which Victor sees as a betrayal by Victoria. And by the way, you guys, okay, let's just talk about new Abby. I'm not feeling it so far, to be honest with you, because Marcy Ryland played the character a certain way. And I think coming in and trying to play it the way Marcy Ryland played it is a mistake. I think this new Abby is going to need to develop her own type of personality, because it's just not going to work any other way. You can't be Marcy Ryland. Marcy Ryland did it excellently. I just think she's going to have to be her own person. And so far, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything particularly special about the new Kyle or the new Abby. I feel like the new Abby just is too much like everyone else. I don't know. We got plenty of pretty blondes that are just there. There needs to be something special about her. And I don't think we found it yet. I don't think we've hit that stride. It certainly has not been very long. So I don't know, maybe we'll get there. But Victoria is not giving up. She wants to get the company out of Adam's hands. She believes that he's going to try to do harm to the company and to Victor, and Victor's not a big enough boy to take care of himself. So Victoria, when she should be probably focusing on her marriage, is deciding to focus on Newman Enterprises. So she hires a private investigator to try to get some dirt on Adam. She wants to know what she wants to try to find a way, basically, to blackmail Adam out of the company. And she did specifically ask the private eye to find out what it was that Adam was going to reveal at the wedding before everybody ushered him out of the room and then the whole shooting happened. So there was something there that Adam was going to reveal, and she wants to know what it was. And of course it was that Victor had a connection to Congressman Wheeler and therefore a connection to Stephanie's death. But Victoria is not going to give up. Just right about the same time, as Victoria is conversing with her private investigator, Adam magically has come up with the money on his own to buy Newman Enterprises back from the stockholders and get it back in the family. But he refuses to divulge where he got the money. So this is probably $1 billion. What, did you just pull it out of your butt, Adam? Where did it come from? I mean, it's highly suspicious. Victor asks him about it, says, well, if you want me to trust you, you're going to have to tell me who your source is. Adam refuses. And then he feeds false information to Victoria's private investigator that would say that he was skimming money off the top. And that's where the money had come from. So Victoria figures out, though, that this private investigator was working for Adam, and it was a cool scene. It was very checkmate. It was very a chess game, Victoria thought for a moment maybe she had some information on Adam, but then figured out that Adam had planted that information, and then she said, how stupid do you think I am? And she almost it would have been perfect, but I don't know where Adam got the money. And I wonder if you guys have any theories. I don't know, maybe Tucker or something, but why would Victor even allow Adam to buy back that much of the company? It basically takes hands out of control of at least a somewhat balanced body in the board and gives it all to Adam. And Victor knows it. Victor knows that whatever is going on here, it is very, very shady, and the power struggle just ensues. Victor and Adam going at it over Newman Enterprises. Victoria's kind of hanging out on the sideline, trying to see where she can jump in and boot Adam out as soon as possible. But the whole relationship between Victor and Adam has just really gone downhill since the shooting. It sure didn't take long for that trust to start fading away. And Victor realizes, as he's known for quite some time, that Adam's real weakness is Sharon. And he and Sharon have been having an affair. I guess I couldn't call it an affair, a relationship. They've been kind of flaunting it around town, which is, I guess, why you can't call it an affair, because they're kissing in public and sort of intentionally to make Victor mad, because Victor has made it very clear that he doesn't want Adam and Sharon involved, and they're both just kind of flaunting it in his face. Well, until Victor goes to Adam and says, all right, I'll approve this new funding that you got. I'll let you buy the company with this mystery magic money that you have, but you got to cut Sharon out of your life forever. She's a bad influence on you. Oh, well, Victor was all about Sharon until he married her. It's like Victor doesn't want to have anyone else sifting through his leftovers. Why not let Adam be happy? I mean, even if it's just a temporary happiness, what does Victor care whether or not Adam and Sharon are together? I don't understand. Victor's such a jerk, and Adam is such a jerk too, because he decides to go along with it. He decides to tell Sharon that their relationship is over. Well, you know what? I'm getting real tired of Adam's attitude. I'm getting real tired of the way Adam has treated Sharon. I'm really getting tired of him treating her like a whore, which is what he did. He's been treating her that way the last couple weeks. Like, it's okay if he just uses her and throws her away again. And she comes to him not only as a lover, but as a friend, and he tells her the whole thing is over. She is devastated. She is really hurt, saying, you know what, you are really the bastard that everyone says that you are, and I guess that means I'm the fool that everyone has said that I am. She is totally destroyed. I mean, I don't know if it's total, maybe that's not right. Maybe it's not totally destroyed, but it certainly is not helpful to her. I mean, she's got a lot going on right now. I think this is going to go one of two ways. I think part of me thinks that maybe Adam and Sharon are going to be over and Sharon is going to go back to Nick, because we've seen just a couple of scenarios lately where it seems like Nick and Sharon are getting closer. They obviously care about each other. Nick and Avery's relation. Okay, here's what I think. I think Phyllis is going to go back to Jack when they find out that the paternity, twist. And then I think that Nick and Avery's relationship's probably not going to work out. I'm wondering if Avery's going to ultimately go back to Dylan. We'll see what happens with maybe a Dylan, Avery, Chelsea triangle. But I got a feeling that maybe just from several of the conversations Nick and Sharon have had, I just wonder if Nick having kind of lost this second daughter in a way, losing Summer in a way might send him back to Sharon as they can connect over their lost daughter, and just in the fact that they're both in a place where they're not involved with Newman Enterprises. They're kind of out of the game. And so I wonder if that's going to bring them together. My other possible scenario, which is in the totally opposite direction, I don't know. But part of me just, especially probably because I've been watching Bold and the Beautiful and Brooke is pregnant, I would have thought Sharon's baby making days were over. But part of me thinks that just how much Adam and Sharon have been sleeping together, and the fact that Chelsea is keeping the paternity of her child away from Adam, part of me just thinks, Sharon is probably going to end up pregnant with Adam's baby. Last week, I didn't have a chance to talk much about this, so I'm going to back up a little bit and talk about Chelsea and Dylan. Last week, Chelsea kind of had a realization that lying to Dylan about the child is not just a lie for today, it's a lie forever. She's going to have to perpetuate this lie forever. And gosh darn it really ticks me off that Chloe has been such a bad influence on Chelsea. Like, I almost could like Chelsea, but it does bother me that she's lying to Dylan, and Chloe is the one that's pushing her into it. She told Chelsea, not this week, but last week, that she's doing God's work. That is literally what Chloe said to her. You're doing God's work. Really? Really? It feels to me like Chloe's character is kind of being ruined to prop up Chelsea and make us feel empathetic toward her. It bothers me. I feel like they're trying so hard to push Chelsea into the forefront, and Chloe, more and more, she's becoming unlikable, and I want to like Chloe. But of course, Chelsea keeps wavering back and forth about what she's going to do. She had a run-in with Adam. He ended up accidentally making her cry. And she obviously wants to tell him. She wants to tell Adam the truth, but she never does, ever. And then she ended up kind of witnessing a little bit of the connection between Dylan and Avery. She sees Dylan and Avery talking and senses that there's more going on. She actually urged Dylan to go back to Avery, but what she wanted was an out. She wants, I think she, deep down in her heart, wants to tell Adam. She wants to tell the truth, and she would like it if that could be made easy for her. But she also realizes that she could be keeping Dylan from something that she wants for herself, and that's love. So she, again, she decides, maybe I'll tell him the truth. But then he opens up to her. They're becoming closer. He tells her about the baby that he and Avery lost. She realizes how much this child means to him, and then she changes her mind yet again. She doesn't want to take this away from him, even though it's not real. So now Dylan he's fully roped into this. He is making a baby crib. Just so freaking adorable. And it makes me so sorry to know that this is not going to work out for him. And he's rented a loft or a warehouse or something downtown, and he's renovating it to be a house or a space for himself, where he'll have a nursery, and he's going to make a bunch of furniture for the kid, and it's going to be perfect. And not only that, but he and Chelsea seem to be genuinely growing closer. They have been spending time together talking about the child, and as a result of planning for the child, they even kind of sealed the whole deal with a kiss. They're kind of going on dates. They're being all cutesy. I don't know. I don't like the lie. I just don't like the lie. And even as much as Dylan is so adorable wanting this child, it's hard not to be mad at Chelsea for letting him get his hopes up about something that's not his. I mean, all of a sudden, now that they're dating and things seem to be working out, maybe it's okay to dupe him into thinking that a child is his when it's not. I am sorry. That's not the right thing to do. As much as she dislikes Adam, and I understand I wouldn't want Adam to be the father of my child either. At this point, Adam, I'm ticked at him. I mean, I would not want to have to put up with him either. But I would just have to have some, I would have to have some moral compass, and I would have to stand up and just try to be a strong woman and do what's right. But instead, she feels like, oh, just because Dylan's connected to the baby, she's more determined than ever now to keep. She in fact went back to Chloe and told her, I've made up my mind. Dylan seems to want the baby, and we're starting to get along and get close now. So I'm gonna keep this lie. No one's ever gonna know the truth. As far as anyone is concerned, Dylan is the father of this baby. Well, how is that plan gonna work out? I mean, it's probably going to work out great until the kid comes out with a mini Newman mustache. Victoria wants desperately to have more children. This is something that she's not been able to do, and she desperately wants to have a child of her and Billy's. Part of me wonders if that's not her way of kind of desperately holding on to a relationship that seems like it's not going so well. But, I mean, Billy seems to not be as into the idea. He had a nightmare, not this past week, but the week before, where there was just like so many babies all over the place. Victoria's pregnant. There's so many babies all over the house. And he woke up from the nightmare where you kind of got the impression he's getting cold feet. Like, family life is clearly kind of cramping his style. Victoria wants babies, babies, babies. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Billy is fighting the urge to gamble. This is something that feels good to him. The gambling is an immediate gratification. He can win money. He can make himself feel good. It's a distraction from anything that's going on in his life. And meanwhile, Victoria is coming up to him, smooching on him, saying, oh, it's O-Day. I mean, I've known couples who went through the fertility treatment, and I'm sure you know people who've gone through all that, and you're trying to have a kid, and it really does suck some of the romance out of sex. It makes it just very kind of clinical, and you got to do it on this day, and that's hard on a relationship, and Billy feels it. I feel it, and so Victoria sets up this romantic evening where she wants Billy to come home early from the restaurant so that he can give her a baby on this O-Day, and the pressure, I think, is what is making Billy, it's turning him off. Like, that's not sexy. It's not romantic. It's, it's, like I said, it's kind of cramping his lifestyle. So Billy is like, all right, we'll have a romantic evening tonight. I'm going to go to work. He goes to the restaurant. And what do you know? A friend shows up, and it's a former gambling buddy, and he starts kind of playing on Billy's ego, saying, I haven't seen you since the last time you lost all that money to me in a gambling game. Hey, what do you know? We're having a game tonight over at the GCAC. Why don't you stop in? And here's the buy-in. The friend, writes down on a piece of paper and slides it over to Billy what the room number is, where the game's taking place, and what the buy-in was. And it was like $30,000. Wow, that's like a year's salary for some people. Some people, I mean, not me, I'm a billionaire. Some people I've heard make that in a year. And he's throwing it away on a single gambling game, not to mention he has this special evening set up with Victoria. He knows he shouldn't go, but he goes anyway. It was kind of funny because Billy's at the bar. He turned the guy down initially, said, no, I don't need to gamble. But then Dylan comes in after his super date with Chelsea, and he's walking on air telling Billy he's going to be a new father, and he's looking forward to the changing of the diapers and all that, the sleep deprivation and all of the non-positive aspects of having a new child. And it just prompts Billy to want to run right to the room to gamble. Like, he wants to do something that's going to feel good. So he goes up to the room, and he ends up losing his shirt, loses all of his damn money, and he was late to his romantic evening with Victoria, so he had to lie to cover up. She knew he wasn't at the restaurant because Abby had stopped by and mentioned that she didn't see Billy there, so he had to lie to her. So it's lies, and the gambling addiction, and the worst part of all, Victor saw Billy walking downstairs from the gambling room and heard Billy on the phone saying that he was like picking up some kind of special meal for Victoria or something, but knew exactly that that's not what he was doing. Just, you're giving way too many people, Billy, way too much ammo. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Rose turned out to be like Gus's family dog or something? Like, there's so much question about who the heck Rose is. Like, what if it's something completely benign? It really ticked me off. I didn't get to talk about it last week, but Gus was going to tell us everything about Rose as he was having his heart attack, his final heart attack, and Leslie wouldn't shut the hell up. She was like, no, you don't have to say anything. Don't tell us anything. And I'm like, no, tell us everything. Who is Rose? I want to know. Apparently, the only thing he did say was that Leslie's mother knew about Rose. So that's all. We have nothing to go on. I have no clue who this is. Gus died, which I think is too bad because I did like him. The only thing I could think is if maybe Rose is the mother of either Leslie or Tyler. Maybe the mother of both of them. Are they really siblings? I don't know. I feel slightly uninterested in the storyline, but I also feel bad for Leslie. She was kind of trying to organize the funeral. She was grasping, not really knowing what to do, unable to make a decision, trying to make arrangements. And I thought maybe this was telling. She did ask Neil about his parents while they were making those arrangements. And Neil was being very there for her, but I don't know, kind of more in a fatherly way if you ask me. But when she asked Neil about his parents, I thought, I don't really 100% know about Neil's parents. If it's ever been brought up in the past, I don't remember it. So I wonder if maybe is this a bridge to us being introduced to more of Neil's family? I don't know. It's really, really weird. Because we had that break-in last week to Neil's apartment, the week before last. Neil's apartment got broken into. And they took a flash drive out of his apartment. And he at the time said something like it had sensitive information on it, which I guess I assumed was Jabot related, but it was really a diary. Apparently Neil keeps a blog, some kind of private blog. It's not made privy to the public, but whoever broke into Neil's apartment and took this flash drive saw Neil's personal private blog on there, and whoever it was ended up like posting it on the internet through some kind of gossip column or something. I don't know. I don't know if they sold the story or what, but posted Neil's blogs, personal private blogs, in which he kind of talked some smack about Leslie. Basically what his feelings were, saying, he wasn't, it was some old stuff too, like, who is she really, when she was not being completely honest about her identity, and just kind of making Leslie look bad. It was public, so it definitely is not helping her career. She forgave Neil. They went to the funeral together. Lily was actually able to convince Tyler to go to the funeral too, and he had a moment at the grave, and it was very sad, especially just given all of the recent deaths. It was sad to see Tyler there speaking with his father, and the father was buried next to the mother, and it was sad. But the real thing here is all of a sudden we're starting to see these scenes of different people, like the Winters sometimes and Tyler alone one time, getting photographed by somebody. It's like the scene flashes and it's like the screen is like a camera and it's like cha-chink, and we're seeing like photographs being taken of the Winters. So what the heck? So somebody wants their private info, somebody wants to take pictures. I don't know. Anytime something is questionable, I always think, ooh, is it Drew? Is Drew coming back? I'm on that constant train of like, oh, is it gonna be Drew? But I don't know. I don't know why that would happen now. Why would Drew have any kind of motive to be photographing and posting Neil's private blogs? I don't get it. Do you guys have any theories about this? The last thing I wanted to mention, I should have mentioned this before. I didn't have a chance to last week. But I have to say, what's with Nikki's sexy new doctor? Kurt Costner, I believe they said was his name. There was a scene where Nikki kind of had tea with him or something. They sat down and had a personal conversation. She had called him to the ranch because she had had another episode, or she was nervous that she was having an episode, and with her MS, and it was a false alarm. But then they sat down together and sort of chatted, and he revealed that he's single, he's a widow, and I thought, well, maybe this is a love connection happening here. I mean, how far are we into Nikki and Victor's marriage? 1 month, maybe? Nikki and Victor are already kind of butting heads over everything that's going on in Newman Enterprises, Victor's trust of Adam, and Nikki does seem to like doctors. Do you guys remember when she married her gynecologist? So I don't know. Even if nothing goes on with them, I wonder if Victor might get the impression that something's going on with them. I felt like this last wedding was a promise that Nikki and Victor were going to be together forever in love, and that there was going to be no more like relationship trauma. I felt like that was a promise to the fans. And you guys tell me, is it already on shaky ground? Okay, you guys, that takes me about to the end, but I will tell you, I remember why I like doing this. There is something about talking about Y&R that is very therapeutic for me. I definitely missed it last week. I missed talking to you guys about the show and sharing our theories and all that stuff. So this has been good. This has been really good for me. So I'm going to look forward to watching next week and coming back with full Y&R chat video and all. But for now,